And good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I remember to say good afternoon. I know we were trying to do this a little bit earlier, but work gets in the way, and so that happens sometimes. And so I appreciate Jessica taking the time to work with the rearranged schedules and jump on today. So my guest today, Jessica Campos of Marketing for Greatness, and happy to have you on, Jessica.
Thanks for having me, Troy. I'm very, very excited. Always looking forward to connect with anything that has to do with my town and my small business owners. Hey, you got me.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I know we've connected through Facebook and stuff. You have with the Austin startup community and trying to, small businesses helping each other from that standpoint. So it's always great to kind of have that social connection turn into a little bit of a face to face, as much face to face as we get a lot of times these days, and then just kind of grow those connections and stuff as well. So appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, sure, sure thing. Let's roll.
So, again, you obviously have do a lot of marketing stuff like that. Why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about your backstory? Like what, for most people, there's kind of a bit of an origin story about what brought them to Austin and those kind of things. So, tell us a little bit about how you got here and where you came from.
Yeah, great question. Well, I have an accent. So that's the first thing that I like to clear it out. That accent is from the island of Puerto Rico. So I actually moved out of my country in 2008. I was an attorney. That's why I say I am the recovered attorney. And now I have found myself repeating the story to encourage anybody that had to pivot because of the pandemic. I was actually, one of those professionals who needed to pivot back in 2008 when the recession hit, and I was doing mortgages. So I don't know if you remember the mortgage crisis, but I was doing, mortgage and working as a real estate attorney back in 2008, and that actually brought me to the U.S. I initially moved to the Northeast area, hated the cold. I could not really do it. So I needed to pivot, and my way out was actually throughout online sales. I found this opportunity to market for a company. We were selling products, and I remember that I had no idea what I was doing, but it's one of those things that I needed to find my way to reinvent myself. So they needed a Hispanic person. They needed like somebody who could lead the market. I had had amazing results with their products. Have you seen P90X on TV by any
Hmm.
chance?
Yeah.
So I became sort of the spoken person for their Hispanic lounge, and that
Okay.
was my way out. And that's how I was able to launch my online business. Now, when that business took over, it took me about 3 years to get all of these, experience and understanding this new set of skills. When that took off, we were able to basically say, I told my husband, I said, listen, I think we can work from anywhere. Let's actually do a research. And I'm sure that many people have ended in Austin doing pretty much kind of the same process. You start like narrowing down best cities in the US. Of course, Austin was on top. And we came to visit. Actually, I remember that trip. We visited Dallas, Houston, and Austin. The realtor that we met was very, very smart. She actually had us coming to the Oasis. And
Okay.
for this island girl, when I saw that oasis, I was like, listen, I don't care. Like, here's my card. Here is, my contact info. Find me a home. I am sold. And that was actually in 2013. And we're happy to say that we're here. We actually ended investing in Leander. And we just love it. Love, love, love this. And I've been able to work for 3 years now in the Austin business community. And I just love how I would say in the 6 years that I lived in the Northeast, I probably had like five friends. And 7 years here, I have more friends that I can even count.
Yeah. So
That's my
I,
story.
yeah, no, I have a lot of similar things. I actually was also in mortgage in 2008 at that time, so know it well, and obviously as a realtor now, you still I still am well versed in that line of work, and also have moved down here in a big part because of the cold weather and not really appreciating it that much. So, did you make the move to Austin while you were still with P90X, or had you already started your own company at
Great,
that time?
great, great question. Great question. So we actually ended basically partnering up with another company that promised us to go international. So I basically, during my move, I ended being hired by this other company that with Beachbody, everything was in the US. Based on their products, they were not able to really get the product out of the US. So I really wanted to expand and really impact like Latin America and also Europe. So we were able to switch, and sadly, actually, it's actually one of my biggest lessons. When you say, "Oh, I want a global business," you have no idea what you are calling on your way. So that was actually really hard for me. I needed to work from like 1 a.m. to 11 p.m. and it was just really difficult. And at that point, I actually had basically 4 kids between the ages of 14 and a newborn. So all of that was really, really difficult. And that's when I needed to make a decision and reassess my reasons why I wanted to work from home. And I said, I'm not home. The company was paying me all the traveling that you can imagine. Like I could travel for London, I could travel for Portugal and all of that. But it's like, when my family is going to be seeing me. And then that actually, I would say I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had to open global markets, but I'm like, I think it's time to be working more at home. And then that's where I got to mix the consulting strategy and all the experience that I got from that industry, which is a very particular one. You get to develop people, you get to learn sales, you get to learn online. And I had the backstage view, and I got to work with the owners of the company and seeing that, like opening, the markets and the licenses and all that. It was a great experience. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's still time for a change. It doesn't mean the experience isn't great and isn't something that will help you down the road. And like I say, I'm sure it's helped you a whole bunch in your current role. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so tell us a little bit about marketing for greatness. Like, what prompted you? I mean, obviously you wanted to get out of the role that you were in, but what prompted you to want to start your own business and kind of go that route versus, again, maybe finding another sales business that you could lead that was maybe just within the US instead of all the international travel and stuff from that standpoint?
Yeah, yeah. It was actually, I would say, it was a combination of me being open to see what people were asking me, and also I just wanted like a break. I felt like I had run the back to back, really working so hard and so much, and especially I had put myself so much out there that I felt like I had a tattoo of these products, so I kind of needed to go incognito for a little bit. And I remember that I started going networking with a group in Austin. It was the E-Woman Network. And it was that community that they saw in me what I didn't even see. I just wanted to hang out. I just wanted to meet people. And
Yeah.
that's something that I share with people. Whenever you want to reinvent, you might not know, but don't stop connecting with people. So I went to those meetings and I remember that the leader said, you get it. So what is it that you do? And I said, I don't know what I do. I just want to connect with people and I don't want pretty much to market anything. I remember I had business cards that I would never hand out. I'm like, nope, I don't want to do anything. I just want to meet people and make friends. So from there, she actually said, come on, you have a background, you have done so much. Why don't you just, maybe volunteer for the organization? I'm like, oh, really? Okay, yeah, I can help. So from that platform, I was able to get people saying, hey, can you help me here? Can you help me there? And it was, I remember, one event that I said, okay, guys, I can teach you things. I just wanted to kind of like, dip my toes a little bit. And I realized that the things that I took for granted, all the knowledge on how to put yourself out there, how to market on social media, how to get, leads from social media, those were things that I had the knowledge. So I felt like for me not doing that, for me not sharing the information, it was going to be a disservice for people who needed me. And Troy, my first class, I just asked people to pay like $99, and I will give them everything. And from there, one of the members said, I would like that you can teach that to my organization. She actually had a sales team. And that weekend, I came back with $7,000, and I still didn't have a logo, a name, not even a website. So when those things happen, I felt like that was kind of the sign that I needed to prove that I was kind of like in a new path. And
Mhm.
that was the starting. That was the starting. I started training and teaching, and then I started like hosting events, building community. And from there, people have asked me, "Hey, can you help me here? Can you
Sure.
help me there?" So I go with what the market needs. Currently, we are extremely busy helping the small business owners, locations, restaurants who really need to get their foot off the ground, and we're helping them with SEO and content and social and paid ads. So I've been evolving, and it's interesting. I think it's one of the things that entrepreneurs have in common. We need to be open to evolve, and we need to pay attention to the trends and go there.
Yeah, if you're not willing and able to change, you're going to get left behind very quickly. Whether it's something as big as the pandemic that we had and still have, obviously, from that standpoint, or just a change in trends of stuff becoming more, e-commerce becoming bigger, or online orders, or things of that nature. Like, we have to be willing to adapt in order to kind of stay ahead of the curve from that standpoint. How
Yes.
for you and your business, how did early 2020 affect what you were doing, the businesses you were helping, and stuff from that standpoint? Like, what kind of shifts have you seen?
Yes, actually, big shift. So, like I told you, I was working with small business owners and helping with their social media and SEO, using more an agency model. So we will do the work for them. I would say 100% of those businesses were impacted, and I could not charge them, to be honest with you. I was like, you know what? Let's just pause. Let's reassess. I switched them from me doing it for you to basically giving them points and pointers here and help, so that they really needed to kind of minimize their budget and their expenses. So by doing that, that put me in a position to find new ways to generate income. So we went back to the online world and created online products. Troy, I think the anxiety of having to go back to create new things got me to publish one book, one workbook, a new course. I built like three websites to put everything that I could do, mainly because over the last 3 years, I was building my business solely from word of mouth and referrals. I was
Mhm.
hosting events, and many people know my events from the Hotel Grand Duca. So, because we were not able to do any of those events in 2020, now I have no clients for the agency and no platform where I can market. How do you do it? Well, going back to school, going back to learning. I participated from conferences, that put me in a position to understand. Okay, so what is trending? How people want to see things? What are the pricing that people are willing to pay for content, and how people want? So I reinvented pretty much all of our offerings, refresh everything, and we did a survey to our followers. Like, for the very first time, I took the time to one by one sending questions like, hey, how can we support you? How can we help you? And because of that, we were able to redesign our offers. And I'm happy to say that January opened, and I was able to close 2020 with 15% growth. Like, It's unbelievable, but all from new things, all from new
Mhm.
things. Like actually, I have here, we did even a planner in 7 styles. I'm like, people need this. Wrote a book and the course with the book. It's, you know, digital assets are to me, I think it's one of the trends that many entrepreneurs are going after, mainly because if you think about it, um, people are going to be open to consume content, and when you see what is coming up, that content, people are kind of missing the old days when they have a book in their hands. We are kind of tired with, from the so many like online things. So when we have the opportunity to provide for people the experience that maybe radio gave them, maybe a book gave them. That's why I see. I don't know if are you in Clubhouse?
I'm not. I don't have Apple, so it's only an Apple product at this point. So.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, there's a huge, battle with Facebook and Apple. So I'm not a big fan
Mhm.
of Apple either. Noted that. But I will say this: Clubhouse is actually capitalizing on the need of the users to consume content in a different way. I think that we're seeing the combination of consuming content with the interaction, but also content that disappears.
Mhm.
So imagine if you had the chance to join like in the old days, the party line, but knowing that that space is more safe because there's no record. So it's a combination of Snapchat, ephemeral content, which is the one that creates this anxiety because it's going to be away if you're not there, and then the radio and experience. So we just have to be open to see the trends and what can we learn for example, as a content creators, what can we learn from Clubhouse? Well, we can learn that people are craving for community. We can learn that people are craving for exclusivity. So this trend in 2021, I see the memberships, models going up, not just subscription, but how can we give our users that experience where they feel like they can share things, where they feel like they belong. So that's the way that I see 2021, and based on that, I've been kind of like in a sprint to create new opportunities and new ways to connect.
Yep. Well, and Clubhouse as well. So part of the reason that I do this, while this is obviously a visual platform, it goes into my podcast, and so people are always pressed for time, and so one of the nice things that Clubhouse is, again, being an audio format, is you can multitask easier than you can if you're trying to scroll through Facebook or watch a YouTube video or those kind of things. There's a lot of research that shows that a lot of people don't actually watch a lot of the videos that they consume on YouTube. They just play it and listen, so that way they can multitask and get other things done. And so I think that audio aspect of it is another big reason that Clubhouse is being super successful, because it allows you to, again, have that sit down at the dinner table kind of feel, and whether you're really eating or, again, working and kind of listening and chiming in on stuff, you can multitask. And even though no one's really great when it comes to multitasking, people still like to kind of be able to do that and try to get multiple things done from that standpoint. So it's a huge thing that way too.
Yeah, yeah. I would say on top of that, I think when you have the social channels being so compromised with monetizing, like they have so much of the advertising, I think the experience is not the same. And I think we are looking for ways where we're not opposed to ads, of course, but I think sometimes the experience with Facebook, for example, it feels like it's overdone. And it's brilliant to have a podcast because now you can have a more intimate conversation with your users. So it takes us to basically go into quality versus quantity, right? Like you're not going to please everybody because there might be visual learners that they prefer a video, and they prefer all of these downloadable things. But certainly you will find a way to connect with those who appreciate simple information, digestible, and in a way that adds a value. I think that's another component for 2021. We all who create content, we need to be very mindful of what is valuable, not to you, not what is easier for you to create as a content producer, but what does your audience want? How can you add value to them? So yeah, less is more.
No, and the adding value is huge component from it. Again, it's how you first started your business. You were doing initially was adding value by going to the networking events and trying to help people out from that standpoint. And
Mhm.
so once you're able to demonstrate the amount of value you could offer, then people were willing to pay for that expertise versus some people who want people to just pay for their course or their product without demonstrating that it has any value from that standpoint. Because again, we get bombarded with ads, whether it be on social media, on the internet, on TV, everywhere and stuff. So there's never a lack of options for people. And so if you can't demonstrate the value add there or the value you can bring, you're usually going to be swept away pretty quickly from that standpoint.
Yes, yes. Actually, this weekend I was sharing the story of when we moved to Austin, we actually moved 5 times in 5 years. And we were renting, and then at first we were renting in the Stainer Ranch area, and then two of the properties that we lived, both actually they were put on the market, and we were like, nope, we don't want to buy here. We wanted to buy in another area. So we had to move so many times that we were like so like tired of the process. And I remember that every time when we moved, our realtor will always update our address. And every couple of months, he would send us these magnets that we had in our fridge with things to do in Austin for the family. I think it was very, very smart. It took him 5 years of consistently sending mailing campaigns to my family. I would always have that magnet on the fridge. So, guess what? When I was ready to buy, I came to the development, I saw it, I pretty much put my contract there and I listed him and I emailed him. I said, John, actually, you are my realtor. You don't have to walk me through any homes. I already have done the work. But you have earned throughout the 5 years of sending me so much valuable information. And Troy, actually, when we were to the closing, my kids, that was 3 years ago. So they were like, 5, 7, and 9. They
Mhm.
recognized Mr. John because Mr. John would send me, this card that we had because we always would see things like, he would always curate events and activities and festivals and all of those things
Oh,
back in the days when we could do festivals.
good go. Thanks. Yeah.
But he would curate those things for us. But then in the bottom, of course, he had like his picture. So my kids were like, Mom, he's Mr. John. I said, yeah. So following up, it's so, so, so key. So I was really inspired to kind of take inventory of what is it that can really make an impact and what can bring value. And I'm like, I think giving can create such an impact in the way that you will be remembered.
Mhm.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna start campaigns like sending mails to people and really doing different things so that people will remember me in a different way. And I invite everybody that is watching to really take the time to think, how can I give? How can I just step up a little bit? You know, regardless of how much money you're putting there, right? I mean, I'm not saying that you're going to give the farm, but sometimes giving a little bit that extra that will position you in a different level than your competitor. So giving is important. I think many people can do a lot of marketing. Oh, we are the best. We are this. We are that. But you know what? Show me.
Yep.
Take action. Show me
Yep.
that you care. So I think that that's such a relevant piece of action, especially now in 2021, that every industry, I think we all need to do that, right? What else can we do? How else can we step up?
Yeah. No, it's I kind of equate it. It's basically kind of building brand versus marketing for brand versus marketing for a sale, right? Like it's obviously more instantaneous potentially to market for the immediate sale of I need to help someone, in this case, buy a house this month. But by building his brand, and so you knew who he was and helping and being there from that standpoint, yeah, he didn't get a sale the first time immediately, but he eventually got a sale, and he will get all of your additional sales as well too, because he built that brand. And so, right, so it's a longer term marketing strategy. It's still a marketing strategy, but a longer term one. But it really does pay off in the long run from that standpoint. And as more and more things in our world get commoditized, brand is kind of the only thing that's left. I listened to a number of different things that kind of talk about how when voice starts to be more prominent, and it's already obviously started a bit with Google and Alexa and those kind of things, but when it gets more prominent, you're just going to ask Alexa for, hey, Alexa, order me a pizza, and Alexa will then just pick the pizza for you, or maybe it'll give you a list the same way that Google does. But if you know that if you have a great pizza brand that you love, so Sacone's, which is up in Leander and down there, or Manja's deep dish pizza, well, if you specifically want that and you ask for that, then it'll get you that pizza. And so if you don't have that brand to where people are specifically trying to get your brand and not just your general service, you're again, it's something where you're going to be behind the eight ball there as well too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned two keywords there. By the way, the book I wrote, it's all about the pathway to build a brand. When I lost all the clients in 2020, I'm like, okay, what can I teach, and what do I see that is going to definitely be a pathway for businesses to overcome the losses that they're having. Those who are surviving, they have a brand. And I always like to mention, look at Kendra Scott. When retails are closing, how is she able to open more stores? It's because she provides an experience, and she has been able to create, leverage her personal brand and her story around her products. So when we buy her products, it's not about ingredients, it's not about materials, it's not about even pricing anymore. It's like, oh, it's cute. You know things about her story that are going to make you to do that. So the tool that is coming up, actually, that is a confirmation of what you just said about what is trending and why personal branding is so important. Google actually is coming up with virtual cards for people. So you're going to be able to have a place, not just the Google My Business location, but as a person, you will have the opportunity to get endorsements or on likes or bad reviews. So I don't know. It's definitely a trend that we need to watch and we need to follow, because I know that people feel like really uncomfortable about putting themselves out there. But at the end of the day, if you have nothing to to hide, and if you're truly open about what you truly care, I mean, you're going to have more opportunities than versus the other people that are going to be hiding more. So I think it's kind of interesting to watch, right? Like what's going to happen once Google opens the opportunity for people to kind of have their profile.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting. So, what are in your minds, like if I'm a small business and there's what would be a couple top tips that you would recommend for them to kind of get, again, we're already a little ways into 2021, but to kind of get 2021 off to a good start for them individually and their business from a marketing standpoint?
Yeah, so I'm in love with Google products. I think the Google products for small business owners are number one, free, and number two, they are able to provide so much results quicker that it will be, to me, it's a must to make sure that every business is really using the advantage of Google products. And that takes us to local SEO, which even if people want clients all around the US or international, when you start with your local SEO, you're actually starting using Google products. So that it's very interesting to see how that impacts in the visibility. The second thing, it's actually I'm recommending branding from the standpoint of how can you stand out, how can you give more, and sharing stories. And the third tip that I would say, maybe a word can be, let's go back analog, and let's try to find ways where we can go back to the basics and connect with our people. So I think we have gone way too far with the automation. And we need to take the time to maybe write personalized emails. Maybe they have been sending coupons and offers and to see what sticks. So I think that instead of that, just do your marketing from inside out. Really find out who do you really want to work with and what do they need. Listen to them. Like really come out and be sincere and honest and see like what do they need. So I think being a problem solver and a servant leader will help the CEOs to really, really grow any business that they want. Because at the end of the day, we have been saying this for a long time. People do business with people. So there's no such thing as B2C or B2B. It's age to age. So this year is going to be more than ever the year where you need to stand out and really implement the age to age. Can you humanize your brand? Can you humanize your sales process? Can you say yes to, meeting with people even when you don't know what's in there for you? Can you be open to that? Those are my three tips. What do you think?
I think they're great. Yeah, it's a good start for anybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You also mentioned that you have a kind of a giveaway you're doing. Let's see here at the mysocialgreatness.com.
Yes, 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 yes. So speaking about giving, that giveaway, it's one of those things that I'm seeing people selling, those tools. I'm like, I don't want to sell. I gain nothing by selling. I actually gain better by people learning and then their feedback. So what we did was created a course. It's actually 6 modules, and I'm giving there the step-by-step process to create content that makes the brand to stand out. So I teach there my process in which you mix and match the content, understanding that every day you have somebody that is new to your world, right? For example, let's use Troy Schickler as an example, right? So today you're going to have people who don't know who you are. So every day you will be sharing something thinking about them. But tomorrow, those people who were here today, right? Then they will need to know something a little bit different. So that's called a journey. And then a couple of days after that, you're going to have them to kind of considering to stay here following you. So because of that, we need to be very mindful of how do we create a process base to share content. So I realized that business owners really can benefit from having the systematic approach towards how can we share content on social media that makes us money. So there is a year of content that we wrote that it's actually given in my socialgreatness.com. But since content is commoditized, as we all know, I actually took the time to record all of the steps so that they can really understand how this is done. So it's a practical guide that gives them a chance to ignite their social media channels with the content that sells, understanding the process. So it's 3 steps to turn their content into a money making activity. So what do you think?
Awesome. No, I think there'll be some people that can get some good use out of it. I know I'm sure I will dive in as well.
Yeah, no, it's really been great. And again, it's to me teaching it's one of the things that I really love to do. So I get, right now we have over 300 students, learning social greatness, and it's really fun to see like their questions and their feedback. So if you think about it, indirectly by me giving all of these content that I could sell it easily
Mhm.
for probably, 197. But instead of doing that, I'm giving that away. But the benefits are endless because they're coming to my Instagram. They're asking questions, and now I have them asking, how can we work more? So I don't even
Yep.
have to sell. I can just serve.
Yep. That's awesome.
Hmm.
The key ingredients to a good 2021.
Yes, it's giving. It's giving. I'm so grateful that you invited me here today, and that we can inspire many entrepreneurs who are in the journey, right? Now, I think we should also talk about you. What do you do?
What do I do? So, for those that don't know me, my name's Troy Schlicker. I'm a real estate agent broker here in Austin. So, your story of moving here and you dealing with your agent at the time is a familiar one to me, from especially with all the people that we have moving to Austin over the last decade that I've been in this in this role, either as a mortgage loan officer or as a real estate agent and broker. And so, yeah, just been trying to stay busy. Again, it's balancing that, doing the business, because you always have to do the business, with marketing for the business to find your next client and those kind of things. And so there's always that balance of working on the transaction to help someone buy the condo or buy the home, but also working on the business to help it grow and get your name out there and stay connected with people. And so that's obviously been a bigger challenge with COVID, right? Because now you don't have the networking events and those kind of things. And so it's been interesting to kind of reinvent ways to connect and stuff. So that's part of where the Austin Spotlight came in. Was, hey, I love connecting with people. Well, let's just do it in a slightly different way and create a podcast and do these Facebook lives and get a chance to meet interesting people. I love hearing different people's stories, especially again with Austin specifically, because so many people have relocated here from all around the
Hmm.
country. There's so many interesting stories. Not that there can't be interesting stories in other parts of the U.S. and stuff, right? Like in the Northeast or in Puerto Rico, again, and there's a lot of people that have lived there for generation after generation, and so it still can be interesting, but they're not, the stories I don't think are as divergent and as different and diverse as they are in Austin and probably in Texas in general, just because you have people, again, that grew up in Puerto Rico. I have good friends that grew up in Cuba, that, Spain, obviously a lot from California, Montana, Michigan. And so you just have such a wide variety of stories and experiences. And then the other thing I think that is really cool about it is, because so many people have moved from other parts of the country and world to come to Austin, most of us were all at some point in time, working professional, but new to Austin. And so we naturally have had to be friendly and be open and stuff. And you mentioned when you moved to the Northeast, it wasn't necessarily that friendly of a place, because a lot of those people, I think, are entrenched and have lived there for so long that they have their groups of friends, where
Hmm.
almost so many people that have moved to Austin, uh, again, I've been here 15 years, but I can still remember first moving here and you had to get connected. And so you have that mentality of being connected and wanting to connect and stuff. And so that's one of the things I think that makes Austin really fun and exciting place to be, on top of the fact that it rarely snows. And if it does, it's 60 later that week. But it's nice to be surrounded with a lot of people uh, who enjoy getting to know each other from that standpoint. And that's one of I mean, obviously from 15 years ago, social media has helped with a lot of that too, right? Like, again, it's not the same knowing someone on social media as it is knowing them in person, but it does allow you the opportunity to kind of connect in ways that you wouldn't have normally, right? Like, you and I may not have ever connected without social media. And so those kind of things are great ways to get introductions and kind of make some surface level connections to hopefully dive deeper from that standpoint. So it's just kind of fun. I sell homes. That's how I make my money. But honestly, I enjoy connecting with people way better from that standpoint. So
Hmm.
that's kind of
Hmm.
how this and the podcast came about. It's like, oh, I get to connect to people. And if it, eventually, though, I know those types of connections have merit. So.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I actually remember when we were searching from Connecticut, one of the things that stood out for us was that they said that Austin was a great city for entrepreneurs. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I would love to be able to meet with people who are like-minded. We're
Mhm.
rare. We're not like, I think we're like what, 1% of the population? So Austin has been named as a top city for entrepreneurship, and I can see that, and we both are a testimonial for that. So I would say actually it would be great to be able to claim from this episode that we're both an example of how Austin is a great city for anybody that is an entrepreneurial has an entrepreneurial mindset and has been looking for the place where they can get quicker to a network, they can
Mhm.
build their platform. Because I remember when I was back in the day searching, that was one of my criteria. Like,
Sure.
is the place okay and open-minded for entrepreneurship? And yes, it is.
Very, very much so. I think the secret's out on that one with all the different companies and stuff that are relocating here, the Teslas, the Oracles, the big companies as well. But then South by Southwest is a huge, or has been a huge driver for small business growth and startup land from that standpoint. And so I again, there's obviously people who I'm sure still aren't aware, but I think it's not really a secret anymore. It's definitely kind of leaked out there that Austin's a great place uh, for to start your business. So
Yep. So we want more people here, and as we want more people, we obviously need more resources like you. And I'm so grateful to be able to contribute, to share what you do, and definitely will be sharing this with my friends, our connections, and we always just get the proverbial question: Who do you know who?
yep,
Right? So now we know.
there you
So
go.
you also you're not a mortgage lender, right? Just
I
or
don't.
your company provides
I just
just
yeah,
real estate.
I just do the real estate. I know enough
Hmm.
about mortgage to get people in the right spot, but I specifically don't do mortgage anymore. So
Hmm. Awesome,
uh,
awesome. Well, I think is it a wrap?
yeah. I mean, we'll probably let you get back to I'm sure you got some clients and some more stuff you got to get going, and so we'll end the live. And if anyone has questions, reach out. Happy to help anyone that we can.
Sure thing. Thank you again for having me. And friends, if you're watching this, let's share and let's just spread the news on what we shared today. 2021, it's going to be about giving, connecting, and going analog. Like, how can you make a difference? That's now over to you, so you can think about that and connect with us and see how we can support each other.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
You too.